As always, I procrastinated and am finishing this speech very close to the due date. How typical of me. Like many college students, I tend to put off my schoolwork and cram assignments in at the last minute. This is an example of a stereotype, one that I prove to be true very often. My purpose in this speech is to discuss how applying stereotypes to individuals as a way to judge them can be harmful. As hard as we try to be unbiased and fair towards people, everyone tends to buy into stereotypes. It's natural to want to categorize people into groups, as this makes them easier to understand and relate to. Yet this isn't always the best way to interact with people on a personal level. Through my research and personal experience, I've learned a lot about stereotypes, their impact on groups, and their relevance to individuals. Here I will be talking about what stereotypes are, how they originate, and why applying them to individuals can be harmful. Now that I've introduced the topic of stereotypes, we first need to define what a stereotype is. According to Stewart and Raheny in Group Reciprocity and the Evolution of Stereotyping in 2023, stereotypes are generalized beliefs about groups of people, which are used to make decisions and judgments about them. Stereotypes are the boxes we categorize groups of people into, whether by their race, gender, social status, educational level, region, or any other factor. They're the glasses we look through to evaluate others. Stereotypes even extend to colors, as Cunningham and McRae note in The Color of Gender Stereotyping from 2011, stating, young children's environments are saturated with gender-typed hues, with blue items essential for boys and pink items obligatory for girls. We know what stereotypes are, but where do they come from? Most stereotypes simply start as observations of people of certain groups, which are then used to extrapolate what other people of the same group might be like. Koenig and Eagley reflect this idea in their 2011 article, The Vicious Cycle Linking Stereotypes and Social Roles, where they say, stereotypes come from observations and take form by ordinary processes of social cognition. However, these observations aren't always completely fair because of the potential prejudices of the observer. In the Neuroscience of Prejudice and Stereotyping from 2014, Amadio defines prejudice as an attitude towards a person on the basis of his or her group membership. Amadio goes on to explain in his 2014 article that prejudice may reflect preference towards in-group members or dislike of out-group members. Some stereotypes are created from a place of prejudice against or towards certain groups, where the one enforcing the stereotype is seeking to intentionally make another group look bad or make their own group look good. Now that we've defined stereotypes and examined their origin, let's discuss why we should be slow to buy into them, especially on a personal level. Oftentimes we let stereotypes bind us so badly, we start looking at people as ideas rather than actual humans. Instead of evaluating the individual, we hold preconceived ideas and biases against them, refusing to see past those ideas. This can be harmful because of the negative nature of some stereotypes. In Condoning Stereotyping, How Awareness of Stereotyping Prevalence Impacts Expression of Stereotypes from 2015, Duguid and Thomas Hunt explain that people who endorse negative stereotypes are referred to as being biased because the stereotype involves negative evaluative components that may not be grounded in reality. For example, a woman who believes that all men are cheaters may treat all men she meets as such before having any proof to her claim, which is obviously unfair to those men as individuals. Oftentimes we use stereotypes to predict how others will act and to learn how to act ourselves. Duguid and Thomas Hunt explain this in their 2015 article when they say that both consciously and subconsciously, individuals often use others as reference points to inform them of proper accepted behavior. When we are quick to adopt stereotypical behavior in an effort to fit in, we risk overlooking the potentially negative outcomes of that behavior. Similarly, making assumptions about someone's character, personality, or moral integrity to individuals based on stereotypes about some group that person fits into runs the risk of unfairly misinterpreting that person as an individual. Now, we've defined what stereotypes are, examined where they've come from, and looked at the reasons why we shouldn't use them to judge individuals. By understanding the definition, origin, and effects of stereotypes, we can be more conscientious about how we're evaluating people and treating them based on those evaluations. Some stereotypes may be true, some may not. So they're not the most accurate measure by which to judge individuals of a group. We should be careful not to implement prejudice or personal biases when getting to know people. Every human is unique. Putting them in boxes diminishes our individual strengths, weaknesses, characters, and personalities. As I finished this assignment mere minutes before the deadline, I realized that some stereotypes exist for a reason. Yet I know that in many ways, as I fit the stereotypical college student mold, I break the mold in even more ways. Thank you.